Okay. Good morning. I'm Maria Elena Saya from the Lombardy Green Chemistry Association. And together with my colleague Sara Dianotti, we coordinate the HempClub project, in those context of which this working group was organized. This working group will be organized online in the form of a webinar to raise awareness of the potential of industrial hemp for a sustainable economy, focusing on topics related to the building sector, such as hemp panels and insulation materials, hemp bricks and blocks, hemp food, and much more. This event aims to share with all participants the advancement of this sector and field of application, but also discuss the challenges and point of improvement, and give the opportunity to all of you to find potential partner in this sector, and work together at different levels. I have to inform you that there was a last-minute change in the program. Julia Paul, who was supposed to speak on acoustic thermal insulation composite size system, will not be able to attend. However, Catalina Botanen from Whole Hemp will speak some best practice in Romania on hemp in construction building materials. Before we begin, I would like to thank all speakers who have made themselves available today to discuss about this innovative topic. And we can start with the presentation of the HempClub project and its objective by Sara Dianotti, my colleague Sara Dianotti.
Thank you very much, Maria Elena, and thank you very much, everyone, for being here. So let me just present my slide. Let's see if it works. Okay. Can you see them?
Yes.
Also in full mode?
No? Okay, yes. Now, yes.
Okay, great. So I will very quick, I hope, but I would like to start this webinar with introducing our project, the HempClub project. This is a project funded by the European Union within the COSME Programme that brings together 7 clusters and associations with the aim of unlocking the potential of hemp as a valuable biomass for the development of new sustainable business models through the creation of interconnected and interregional supply chains. So what we do in practice, we try to connect different operators of the hemp value chains through different activities and different services. In particular, one of our key pillars is to strengthen the management skills of cluster managers, basically through trainings, but also through the implementation of new services, because we are all clusters in this project, and we believe that in the power of clusters, meaning that clusters can really provide some valuable support to their members to improve their product, their processes, and also to find new partners for these value chains. As a second major pillar, what we do is to organize events and collaborative activities, such as these webinars, but also exchanges that I will explain later, with the aim of connecting physically people that will meet in these events. So why we have chosen hemp? I think you are all probably more expert than me in this topic, but we chose hemp because it is a biomass with unique chemical property, a lot of environmental benefit. It has an high yield also in environmental conditions that are not favorable for other plants, and it has a wide range of applications, so we can use it in food and animal feed, in the pharma industry, in the cosmetics, in paper, in the textile, and as we are talking today, in the building material sector. As I was saying, the project was funded by the COSME Programme, which stands for Programme for the Competitiveness of Enterprises and Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. It is a program that since 2014 has provided around 51 million in funding for over 130 initiatives in order to promote clusters and its members. We are 7 clusters in the association, as I was mentioning. The Lombardy Green Chemistry Association is the project coordinator, and we are supported by other 2 clusters and associations in Italy, 1 cluster in Czech Republic, 1 cluster in Austria, 1 cluster in Romania, and 1 other cluster in Portugal, as you can see here. Why we are all of us are cluster? As I was saying, we and the project and the program believes in the importance and the power of clusters. Indeed, a significant part of the European industrial landscape is composed by specialized clusters. There are more than 3,000 clusters in Europe, accounting for 54 million jobs and nurturing jobs and economic growth in Europe. Clusters bring together research organizations, SMEs, and large industries, and therefore can trigger innovative value chains based on industrial and production and processing. And finally, as clusters can support the scaling up of sustainable industries and sustainable value chains, such as Hemp, for example, cluster can, of course, contribute to the achievement of the Green Deal objectives and the Sustainable Development Goals. Just a little overview of who we are in general. We did an analysis of our members, and as we can see here, you can say that we mainly support small and medium enterprises that are active in the field of bioeconomy, including, of course, Hemp. The main field of activities is biotechnology, chemistry, food supplement, and pharma, as you can see from this graph. And finally, the majority of our members work in the biomass transformation sector. In particular, Czech Hemp and Fidercanapar are the only clusters that are specific on Hemp, while all other clusters that participate in our project are more general, related to sustainability and agriculture, such as, for example, the Lombardy Green Chemistry Association. I wanted to present also this initiative of the project, which I think is very helpful in with the aim of finding partners and creating new value chains. Indeed, we create this Hemp map that is available on our website. In this map, we included many operators in the Hemp value chains at different levels. So, from the biomass producer to the biomass transformation provider to the organization that sells the final products. So we insert this organization into the map, and you can access freely the map and browse the map by filtering for sector of operation, step of the value chain, country, etc., so that you can have a list of such organizations that are in the map. The map is still growing. So when you click on this link and go to our website, you also have the opportunity to register yourself on the map if you are not included. So you can provide some information of your company, and we will include you in this map. So that the aim is that at the end of the project, but also for the next years, we will have a quite extended number of operators within this map. Another initiative of the cluster of the project, which I think is very useful for you and the operators of the HempClub of the Hemp sector, is these cluster exchanges. The cluster exchange is a new pilot scheme funded by the European Union aiming to facilitate cooperation, learning, networking, through the implementation of these short-term exchanges between cluster members. What does it mean into practice? It means that these short-term exchanges are basically 3 to 5 days events that are hosted by one organization, and organization in different countries can come visit this host organization and attend the event, and they can receive a lump sum to partially cover for the travel and accommodation expenses. This kind of initiative is open mainly to SMEs and clusters, but also to research centers, for example, and that are cluster members. So it's specific for cluster members, as the project is all about clusters. But yeah, it is a nice opportunity because you can also receive this lump sum to cover partially for your expenses. Our objectives of the project is to implement 80 short-term exchanges, which means 8 people traveling and visiting. And at the moment, we completed 75% of it, so 60 exchanges, and we have 20 left to carry out. Here are some examples of what we did. We did an exchange in Naples of 5 days, which was in combination with the Canapa Forum Conference organized by Federica Canapa. We also did another event in Milan in February. We did an event in September 2023 in Stuttgart, other 2 actually in Prague, one in June and one in October. All our events usually include some networking moments, include conferences, and a lot of visits to local actors, as you can see in some of these photos. We have an exchange planned. It's actually for next week, so I'm not sure if you will be interested as given the short notice, but I wanted to present it. The event will be held in Iași, Romania, together with the Cluster Meet Region Conference, which is organized by the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. The aim and the activities of the exchange will include meeting the local stakeholder, attend this conference, but also create new collaboration opportunities with B2B and matchmaking activities, and also learn more on how Hemp can contribute to the green transition during the bioeconomy project. If you are still interested to participate, the registration are open until tomorrow, I think, so you can register at this link or using this QR code. I think it's all from my side. Here are you can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Here you have our email, and if you have any questions, and the project website. I think it's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sara. Thank you. Are there any questions about the project? Some curiosity? Okay, so we can go on with the second speakers, Steve Allin from International Hemp Building Association. And do you prefer to present the slide by yourself, or do you want your audio is off? It doesn't work. Okay.
Okay, right.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, I just muted myself because everybody else is trying to listen. Here, I'll share my screen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so right. Okay, sorry about that. I thought I'd start explaining what the IHBA is and how hemp building evolved, so that as this is recorded, people that are watching this will be able to see the whole story and not just see it just emerge as something unborn, you can say. So, hemp construction beginnings. It started off in France. It's a French technology, and it was invented by this guy, Charles Rossetti, who was an expert in how buildings worked and in repairing old buildings. He worked for a housing cooperative and was bringing his family's expertise in repairing buildings. You can see by his name, he was originally Italian by origin, but his family had moved to France and he was brought up in France, and he was somebody that understood how materials worked and how you would best repair and also buildings so that they would not be unhealthy to live in, or they would survive into the future. He was tasked with repairing this old medieval house, which was famous in this town in Nogent-sur-Seine, and it was where Flaubert had written about, and it was a famous ladies of the night house in the story that he wrote. So he invented this material after seeing that the local hemp company had brought in new machinery and that they were processing this very clean and good quality hemp. And so he used it in combination with lime, which is another material he understood well, and some cement at the time, it must be said, to create this infill. And it worked very well. And from there, it went on to become a new building material. I started using it here in the late 90s myself, after building my own house and then using it as a plaster inside. And I decided that, well, this is a fantastic material. I was designing and building houses for people at the time. And so I started to focus on trying to promote this. And I had so many inquiries that I ended up writing the book, my first book, and the first book about building with hemp. And the second edition came out in 2012. And this created a sort of focus for people to gather around to gain knowledge and promote the knowledge. A few years later, I decided to call a meeting and try and gather everybody around the world who all seemed to be trying to do the same thing and promote this material. And we had the first International Hemp Building Symposium in Ireland. Paola, who's part of our audience today and group today, was a member of that group of delegates. And this initiated the beginning of the International Hemp Building Association. After the symposium, a few of us got together and sort of described the mission statement, and we formed the association. Since then, we've had another 10 events in Spain, in Switzerland, in Wales, in Germany, in Italy, in Canada, in Belgium, an online event during the pandemic, and one in France, and just last month in Amsterdam. These are the information that's come from these presentations has been stored on our database, which members have access to, including students who can join very cheaply, so that they can gain access to improve their research and to be using real facts and information from people who are actually involved in the development and rolling out of this technology. So Europe has led the way in experimenting with a range of applications and versions of what we call hempcrete. Hempcrete being this mixture of either lime or mixtures of clay and lime and other materials that help the lime set a little bit faster. And the wood chips, or the hemp herds as we call them, from the hemp plant, from the center of the hemp stalk. And this creates a unique material. The microscopic structure of the hemp is part of it. The vapor porosity of the lime or other binders is another aspect of it. And we can apply this material either as a cast situation around a timber frame of some sort, as you can see in the middle picture here, or it can be cast as bricks and blocks. These ones on the left are by Canabric in Spain. They actually contain clay, lime and hemp. And you can see on the right an example of Paolo's work here, with somebody spraying hempcrete into a house in Italy. So there have been many houses built around the world now. Here's a few examples from Europe. You can see one on the left here up at the top from Ireland, a prefabricated modular building from Netherlands, another version of modular construction from the UK, a very hand-built low-tech technology version from Belgium, organized by Wolf Jordan, who recently passed away, and a hemp block building in Italy that was famous for withstanding earthquakes. And this system of timber frame and hemp block has now been furthered by IsoHemp in Belgium, where they are using similar kinds of system. And here's just a standard hempcrete modular house in Switzerland. But there are many much larger projects around these days, and it's here that we can really see the use on a large scale. Here we not only the use on a large scale, but different type of approaches that can be used to build quickly. And this one in Belgium is cast hempcrete around a structure of what we call cross-laminated timber. So lots of tiny bits of small bits of timber glued together in opposite directions, so that the grain and structure of the wood is improved and increased. These panels are maybe 100 millimeters thick, and they are then assembled to create the basic structure and the back of the facade, and then hempcrete has been cast on the outside. This is actually a supermarket extension in Belgium. Then on the bottom here in Luxembourg, we have actually a concrete structure that has hempcrete blocks from IsoHemp cast and applied to the outside layer. This is a fine example of the sort of thing that can be done on many concrete buildings to provide a very safe, non-toxic, non-flammable envelope to that building and save massive amounts of energy. On the right here, we have a massive structure that was a very modern type of building around a steel frame. And here, prefabricated hempcrete panels were manufactured off-site and delivered and erected and finished on the outside of the building. Social housing, of course, is a very large need all around Europe. We have massive need for housing in just about every European country. There is a huge need for housing people, especially young people, and especially the incoming waves of people coming from more desperate parts of the world seeking refuge here in Europe. And so we desperately need to be able to build quickly and fairly cheaply to be able to build the number of units that are required by many people in the population. So here we have an example of a social housing project in France. This one actually uses hemp fiber insulation in panels more than hempcrete. We have an example of hempcrete panels being used in England here on very simple designs that can be erected and built very quickly. And here we have a very famous project also in the UK, in Swindon, a place called the Triangle, where a whole range of 43 different units were built, where the houses were not only cast in situ, but they were built and designed to be so comfortable and warm and energy efficient that these structures on the roof of the house are not chimneys, but actually heat and aeration vents. So large scale buildings are usually buildings that have massive energy reuses. And we can talk about the carbon that's sequestered in the material and the benefits that accrue to agriculture from this. And we can say, okay, well, who is going to gain the carbon credits from this material? And we could say that the farmers should get it. And this at the moment is something that is being promoted, that the farmers should be getting the carbon credits. And yet they are not really the ones that are sequestering it. They are drawing it down from the environment into the plant, but that material could easily rot and biodegrade again at the side of the field, and the carbon would be returned to the atmosphere. So it's not until that it's taken away and processed and turned into some kind of material that has got some kind of lifespan, and especially ideally over 100 years, that we can really say that the carbon is locked up in that building. But even then, those savings or those reductions in carbon are probably nothing compared to the reductions in energy use from the occupation of the building. And this is where we really start to see two aspects, I think, that are very important. Not only the huge reduction in carbon, but also the massive monetary and economic savings, which are far more of an incentive, I think, to many designers and clients than whether they get a few carbon credits. Because here we have three buildings The one on the left is a steel structure with hempcrete panels that were sprayed, filled, and off-site and craned into position with a steel cladding on the outside of it. This building is used to store wine. The building on the top here is another building, not entirely built with hempcrete by any means. It has an earth roof with big glulam beams, but the walls are built with a combination of limecrete, as we call them, blocks, which have a small amount of hemp in, built in a cavity type system where the infill in the middle of the cavity is filled in with hempcrete. But both these buildings are used to store alcohol, funnily enough, and alcohol needs a constant temperature to be able to store and be at its best performance and best quality. And so these both these buildings have shown how hempcrete can be used to create this uniform temperature and behavior inside a building, which is very important if we're going to be working or living in any kind of hempcrete structure. The building on the bottom is a building that we visited at the end of our last symposium, a massive structure that was originally an 80s style concrete building that was the external envelope was stripped away. What was left was nothing more than like a car park, just layers of floors of concrete and pillars holding them up. They left the insulation on the roof because that was important to not have to remove, seeing as it had only been installed a few years before. But the whole exterior envelope was cast with hempcrete. And all three of these buildings, I'm just about to end, all three of these buildings now save at least 50,000 euros a year in energy costs. And if that isn't enough of an incentive, if you think of all the buildings in cities and towns around the world that are used as public buildings, especially, that could be have the addition of hempcrete to either in new buildings or in old buildings replaced, then this is certainly the future for hemp building. Future expansions we have in Sweden are two massive projects. One probably inspired the other. The one on the top here is a massive logistics center that is going to be built using hemp fiber filled panels. And this is a factory that's going to be built as a result of these type of orders that Ecolution received to be able to process and create hemp fiber insulation in Sweden. So this is the sort of thing that's happening now that hopefully we can see in the rest of the world. New systems like these sort of prefabricated modular systems using fiberboard and hempcrete infill and mechanical applications of hemp plaster are all things that are happening now and are going to speed up the whole process and make the whole thing more future applicable. So I think we offer as many solutions to agriculture, as we've said in the previous slides, of agriculture and ecologically, but building is a massive imprint and impact on the world, and so I think we can seriously impact that and make very positive moves. We have a lot of solutions. It's just a matter of how do we tell everybody about it in the most efficient way. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this interesting presentation and example in the building sector. There are any questions?
Oh.
Okay, Katalin.
Nice to meet you. Hi, Steven. All hemp developed its material in Romania. It's called stone hemp, but basically it's the same like hempcrete. We are working with the spraying technology. Yeah. And of course, in Romania, it's a long tradition of growing hemp, but unfortunately, after communism went off, the cultivation of hemp start to be. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Because I cannot see you. Don't know what's wrong. Okay, so we in Romania we start based on a relationship with Hempflex and the Carmeuse. Hempflex was delivered the shives, and the Carmeuse come with its lime. And we work several projects in Romania and also abroad with different type of hemp shives and in different conditions of working. In Romania, we had three full projects, three houses. In Slovenia, one, in Germany, one. Warehouse installation, we had the one project in Germany. Also, we co-participate to building a community center in France, in Garrigues de Saint-Eulalie. And also, we had several projects of inside installation of residential houses. With one of our project, which was our first project in Romania, it was the house of our company. We get the certification of Green Home with a very good score, about 140 points out of 160 possible. Also, we get the European certification in Germany, in Stuttgart, and also because of our collaboration with ACTA from France, we have also their fire test certification, and the material is classified as BS1D0. That means the installation is not burning and does not extend the fire. Also, we have another collaboration with BAFA from Germany, and some partnership with Hemp House also from Germany, from Nuremberg area. What do we want? We want to expand the technology and the staff. We will go to promote this activity intensity in the next period, and we'll try to grow the interest regional levels for hemp and lime installation. The context is that the government builds program in order to support energy efficiency and using natural materials, and also they are looking for as much as possible for greenhouses. Also, we will try to develop education programs in agriculture schools in order to bring interest to the hemp. And also we have we intend to have some projects to among with the local authorities for demonstration and for schools, medical, and city halls. So I don't know if how can I share some pictures to you to show you some. Okay, share screen, and I want to show you some pictures.
Kathleen, we received some slides from your cluster manager, Ottilia. Do you want us to present them?
Sorry?
We received some slides from your cluster manager, Ottilia Frolu.
Yes.
Do you want us to present them? There are the images you're talking about, or do you prefer?
Yes, yes, please, if it's possible, because.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Maria Elena,
Yes, 1 second.
Okay, I already spoke about this. Sorry for, but what I would like to, I want to focus on some pictures, and I want to show you our projects.
I'm not sure if there are some pictures here. This is what we received.
No. Are in a folder. And,
we did not receive them. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
But I can. Just one moment. Okay.
Are you able to share your screen?
Yes, I try, and
because if not, you can send them via email to me and Maria Elena, and then we can present it maybe after the next speaker, so that we do not lose too much time for in trying to.
Yes, I can send you via email.
Okay,
and,
so I'm writing in the chat, and then we will resume everything later.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions? Okay, we can go on with the next speakers. Tom Mattis from Hemp. Can you share your screen?
Hello,
or
everybody.
do you prefer?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll try to beat technology and share my screen. Just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So try to move that one. Okay. Try to hide this. All right, so now you have full screen, I guess, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay, very good. So yes, my name is Tom Mathis. I'm from Belgium, working from Belgium, but I represent a company that's a bit farther away than Belgium, a company Hempwood, located in the United States, in the state of Kentucky. So Hempwood, let's say, is active since 2018 and has found a way, has developed a technology to convert hemp stalks, so without decortication, so the inside and the outside of the hemp stalk we can use, and we convert it into an alternative to wood. So instead of using trees, we use hemp stalks and convert it into a wood. Maybe Katalin, is it possible to unmute your microphone, please? Otherwise, maybe it will interfere with the presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I was saying that we have found a way of converting the hemp stalks into an alternative to wood. And we do this in 2 factories in the state of Kentucky. In one factory, we actually produced blocks, as you can see on the left-hand side. This is the first step of making hempwood, converting the stalks into blocks. And from this block, we can make all kinds of products. For example, flooring, which you see on the left-hand side as well. So parquet flooring, basically. This is the second factory we have in Kentucky. I will show you a video, then things will probably become much clearer how we produce it.
Dried stalks are separated, crushed, and submerged in a plant-based, no-added formaldehyde resin. A drying kiln circulates air to cure the resin to the stalks. The hemp is then pressed into blocks and baked in the oven. Blocks are then carefully cut to order. The zero waste system uses leftover product to power the on-site bioburner. At the milling factory, Hempwood organic flooring comes together. Each piece is then boxed by hand and shipped to customers around the world. See how Hempwood can improve your healthy living space. Visit hempwood.com today.
Okay, was this clear, and could you hear all of this?
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. We heard that it's a little bit tricky sometimes, but I think that when we will share the slide, I think that the people will be able to watch it, again.
Okay, all right, thank you. So why are we producing hempwood? Of course, the main goal is to fight deforestation. We want to find an alternative to normal wood, and we are all in the hemp space. We all know that hemp is a very fast-growing plant, for the cultivation of which you don't really need any pesticides or insecticides or any not many chemicals, if any. It grows so fast compared to trees. So the plus is obvious to use industrial hemp versus trees. By creating hempwood, we want to offer a healthy, high-quality alternative to regular wood. Healthy, so when you use a hemp wood in your home or in your office, in your public building, you have by definition, a healthier living space, a working space. By using hemp, we can also, of course, reduce the CO2 levels, because hempwood can sequester a lot of CO2 from the atmosphere. That is why we can call ourselves the only carbon negative wood flooring in the United States, which is a fantastic achievement. And one of the goals is also to make hempwood available worldwide by allowing companies to set up hempwood factories themselves through a license program. So hempwood is a patented technology. Here you see the first pages of our patents. We have patents in the United States, Canada, Australia, Europe, and so on. So we receive license inquiries from all over the world, companies that want to set up a hempwood factory themselves, and we can help them with this using this technology. So on the left, on the right-hand side, you can see one of the one of our presses to create hempwood. As I already said, one of the main objectives is, of course, to prevent deforestation. That is the basic goal. To give an example, 1 hectare of hemp, when we express it in square meters, we can produce about 1,400 of square meters of parquet flooring for 1 hectare of hemp, which is, of course, fantastic. As I mentioned, we start with producing a block, a hempwood block, as you can see on the left-hand side. And from this block, we can make all kinds of products by cutting this block into thin layers or thicker layers. For our flooring, we take a very thin layer of this block and we attach it to a construction of FSC certified plywood. This is one example. When we go over the production cycle, we start off with a hemp bale. Can also be, so it can be a round bale, can be a square bale. It's not really that important, but we prefer round bales. Then we open up the bale. We separate any, so remove any foreign objects. Then we crush the complete hemp stalk. So we do not need any decortication. Then we crush the hemp stalk. We add a certain resin to it. It's a bonding agent. We dry all of this in our kilns and our drying ovens. Then we press, and in the end, we get a finished block. This block, as I said, we can cut into lumber, for example, 20-millimeter boards, for example. But for one block, we can always receive 2 types of visuals. So when you, and it depends on whether you turn the block 90 degrees or not. So by cutting it one way, you will have the rift visual, which you see on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you see a live visual. This is a more random visual, very popular for designer objects or for furniture panels, for example. The left-hand side, the rift visual, which is more linear, we will typically use for our flooring, for our parquet flooring. So here you see again, this is lumber. So these are boards cut from this block. On the left-hand side, the rift visual. On the right-hand side, the more live designer visual. You can make cabinets from it, counters, furniture, and so on. So right now, hempwood is a wood alternative that we can use for inside the buildings. So inside your home, inside any commercial projects, restaurants, hotels, and so on. So it is not for exterior for the time being. It is also not structural for the time being, but this will change in about 2 years. A structural meaning load bearing. So now it is non-load bearing, decorative for inside use. So anything you can see in a house, Martin, would it be possible to switch off the audio, please? Because it's interfering with the presentation. Thank you. So right now it is for interior decorative, but we are already in the process of improving the technology, changing the bonding agent so that we can also use it for exterior and for structural. This means that in a few years, hempwood will be able to replace anything you can find in a building made of wood. So also the roof structure, supporting walls and so on. So this will be a game changer for the construction industry as well. Here are some other examples of hempwood products that can be made. Lumber, I have already mentioned. You can also have furniture panels on the right-hand side. So for kitchen tops, for cabinets and so on. Wood turning blanks, tables, musical instruments, furniture, anything you can think of made of wood, we can make out of hempwood. Here are some photos of our parquet flooring in different colors. So as you can see, it can completely replace normal wooden parquet. It is also much harder, much stronger, and of course, it has a carbon negative rating, which is fantastic for our future. So here's some more pictures of the parquet flooring. We are very proud to have a life cycle assessment, an EPD, that is carbon negative. So we can therefore say that we have the only carbon negative flooring in the United States from cradle to gate. This means that not only by using hemp, but also the complete production cycle is carbon negative. So also our production, how we manage waste, and so on. What our production is concerned, this is also an important part to be called carbon negative, is our electricity supply. 99.5% of all the electricity that we use is actually coming from a dam, so the Kentucky Dam, so it's hydropower. And what our waste is concerned, we are able to recycle all of our waste. So whatever waste we have from our production cycle, we can put it in our bio burner that we have developed ourselves. So we can burn all the waste, and the heat that is generated we can use again for our dryers and our ovens. And the smoke that is generated is actually eliminated by a scrubber. And whatever is left, the ash, we can actually sell to the local farmers as a replacement for potash. So basically a kind of fertilizer. This is the end of my presentation. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Peppe?
Yes, good morning. I appreciated a lot your presentation, but I have a question, because if I have understood, your technology is based primarily on pressure and on the resin. Can you tell us something more about the resin you use?
Yes. It is a bio-based resin. So the resin consists, of course, mostly of water, and the rest we use a organic material. So it does not use any formaldehyde, no added formaldehyde. So that is why our bonding agent is a very clean, environmentally friendly, biodegradable bonding agent. We have spent a lot of time and investment in finding a bonding agent, a kind of glue, let's say, that does not use any formaldehyde. It would be easy to use phenyl formaldehyde to create a glue, but we really wanted to move away from using any unnecessary chemicals. So that's why we have succeeded in using a bio-based material straight from nature to create a very strong glue. But it's true, it is the combination of the hemp stalks, the glue, and a certain rate of compression.
So you use vegetal proteins as a basis for the glue?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can find it. I believe you can use several types of bio-based material. We use one particular, but if, for example, a factory would be set up, let's say in Europe or in Asia, they would probably want to use whatever is available there as a bonding agent. Yeah, but it's only a small part of the complete composition of the glue, but of course it's a very important one. So that's why we can say we do not use any added formaldehyde, which is a fantastic plus point.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Okay, Oliver?
Yes, hello. Well, thank you first of all for a very nice presentation. And my question is especially regarding the load-bearing capacity that you're foreseeing to be there in 2 years. Can I ask about the how and to what extent, like what kind of compressive strength you estimate it will be able to take?
Yes, so for sure, hempwood can be compressed into different sizes. We have one particular size of block, but of course, the larger the press will be, the bigger the blocks will be, and the higher, of course, the supporting strength, the load-bearing strength. Right now, our blocks have a density of about 1,000 kilos, so 1 ton per cubic meter, which is not bad. If you compare it to, it's twice as much as softwood. It is 20-30% denser than oak. So it is already a very strong material. So right now, it is already very strong. Right now, actually, we could already use it. But when we talk about the International Building Code, you have to have certain properties, right? And this is now what we are testing. We have already figured out what changes should be made to the bonding agent so that the moisture ingress, the moisture resistance is increased so that hempwood will become even more resistant to moisture ingress. And this, of course, will reinforce the structure, which will make it suitable also for exterior use and certainly for load-bearing uses. But already now it's very strong. If you were to use it now inside the house for normal supporting goals, it would of course be strong enough. But from a insurance point of view, from a legal point of view, we do not do this because we want to have everything in place what the International Building Code is concerned, so that we have 100% security about the use for outdoor use, for example, or for yeah, the tests already going on. Next year will be the certification period, and then we will be ready. So I think 2025. The only challenge I see in Europe, we have European Union should be one unified legislation body, but unfortunately every country has a bit its own laws about construction, business, and so on. So it is possible that this International Building Code will have to be applied for per country, so that hempwood will become available for construction in general. Yeah, in about 2 years, we should be ready to go to the market also for exterior use. But of course, now it is available for interior use. That's no problem. So we already set up several distributors in Europe. So this is well on its way.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's good to hear. I think that will be a major breakthrough. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom. We can go on with the next speakers. Noah Paul.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, can you share the slides?
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So hello, everyone. My name is Noah Paul. I'm based in the South Tyrol, north of Italy, and I will present today building materials of the future, as you all know, hemp bricks, hemp acoustic panels. I'm collaborating with the company Schöntaler that's based here in Val Venosta, North Italy, South Tyrol, as I said. I'm an industrial designer, and I have developed the project of the hemp acoustic panel. I will also speak about another section of the company, which is the hemp bricks. So I will represent it to you. I will not go too much deep about the benefits of the growing hemp, since the other colleagues that made the presentation talked about it, but I will present a bit for those who don't know about the different parts of the plant and the uses for the different parts of the plant, from the seeds, the leaves, the flower, the fiber, and kind of the end product of the plant in the industrialized process is the chives that's used for the building material that we use. The benefits of growing hemp, the fast that it's grow, that it's generating the soil. It grows without any pesticides, and it requires a small amount of water. So the hemp bricks that we produce are coming in 8 different sizes, and a great benefit that we produce them with a tongue and a groove, so it's easy to mount and build with. Here is our production site in the mountains of the Alps. So the hemp bricks produces from hemp, limestone and water, all natural ingredients, of course. Why building with hemp is benefits to the building of the house. It's building without insulation, since it has interior insulation and heat accumulator. Okay, it is a fire resistant, since it's built from a mixture of limestone, resist to water and insect. It's make the indoor air clean air. It's a durable material, strong, light, breathable, energy efficient, built from 100% natural material without compromises, and it's a reusable material. And important point, as the Tom has said, it's create a negative cycle of CO2 emission during the production process, which make it a very important material for our pollution industry, the building industry. Here is our office built from the hemp bricks. Okay, so it's a bit. Here is the inside process of building the office building. As you can see, structure is either wood or cement, in the worst case, skeleton, and inside is the bricks. Here is another example of a building site in Südtirol. Here is a building site in Austria. Okay, 3-floor building. Here is the inside process of the building, with windows made of wood, with a skeleton made of wood as well. Some pictures. This material is also amazing for restoration. For example, if you have an old building that is completely insulated, you don't need to demolish the building completely. And the hemp bricks, even the 8-centimeter bricks, are amazingly insulating old building. This is an old caserma in Südtirol, in our valley, in Val Venosta, that used now as a cultural hub and atelier for artists and craftsmen. Building in winter, and yeah, it's a great example as well, this building as a renovation building. There is also a method. We have the bricks, but of course there is the method of the hempcrete itself. Okay, so here is a very beautiful building in Zurich that have a 40-centimeter exposed hempcrete from the outside. Okay, there is a roof, because as we said, it's, if they want to keep it without a plaster, it's better to have a roof from the water, from the rain. But it's a very beautiful aesthetic family house. Here is in Vorarlberg, another office of a company, Clarissa Cork, that they decided to leave the inside without plaster as well, for the aesthetic. Now we will talk about the hemp acoustic panel, the project I developed. Okay, trademark is SAPA, Sustainable Acoustic Solution. I graduated my study as industrial designer 3-4 years ago. In my master thesis, I made a project that tried to combine this amazing material in our interior environment. I made some material research, and at the end, I produced table and tiles and some planters. With this project, I won funding from the Higher Council of Education Ministry that supports academical project to develop a startup and with a business plan to develop it and to bring it into the industry. So here is I won the first prize. And with the funding I got, I did start the collaboration with the Schöntaler company and produced the first prototype for hemp acoustic panels. So why are hemp acoustic panels has such a great benefit? So first of all, it's combined 4 essential qualities that hemp acoustic panel requires, that acoustic panel requires. The first one is it's a sustainable product, 100% sustainable product from natural material. It's fire resistance. It has optimal sound absorption since we have air in the product. Of course, it's a panel with air, and our sound absorption capabilities is very high. And as well, it brings a design option. Since I'm an industrial design, it was very important to bring this product that usually or being hide or not so aesthetically to the front. So we have 10 different colors and 5 different shapes. That's how the architect can play with a mix and match between the colors, the shape, as you see here, like a psiphas. And today in every school, every restaurant, every hotel, these panels are required to absorb the sound, the echo that is in the room. For example, in kindergartens or schools, it's very important also, of course, the fire classify, which we have B1. We made some measurement of the sound absorption and got to a very, very good result of sound absorption, which is the main, of course, purpose. Some of the technical data and so on. And here are the panels already mounted in the office. I will show some pictures of the product in live. So here you can see really the mix and match of the colors and the shapes. As well as here, since we have some Dreieck, rectangle, no. You can see the really like a psiphas that you can create from the color and the games of the shapes. And last development that we did, these are our panel, the big panel, the 62.5 and 125 with carved pattern. Okay, so this allowed the customer, the client, to really choose and create his own pattern. This is a sample we did as a design offer. And here is a client, a Pedevilla architect, a very famous architect here in South Tyrol. They just won the prize of the best architect in Italy. Have chosen our house and created his own pattern that we produced for him, and he put it in his own house. So we won the sustainable prize of Südtirol in 2023 with the collaboration of the Sparkasse, the big bank here in the area, with a collaboration with the University of Bolzano. And the last cute project that I would like to show you is a collaboration we did with students in the master in the University of Bolzano from Master of Eco-Social Design. That made for us this Hempire state building that they created from our panels to a bit challenge or trigger or asking question about how we build our buildings and cities. So this is now mounted or placed in our office in Ores Val Venosta, Südtirol, Italy. Thank you very much. If you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. Are there any questions about the presentation? Okay.
Yeah, I have. Can I just ask Noah?
Yes.
Hi, Noah.
Hello.
Thanks very much for the information. We had a presentation from Werner just last month in Amsterdam, but I'm just going to ask a similar question that was asked of Tom. And what binder are you using? Are you using just a pure lime binder, or do you have some cement in it, or are you using...
No, we don't have absolutely no cement in it. We have some silicates, okay, mineral that makes it a bit stronger, but we use absolutely 100% natural material, meaning also cement at the end, but sustainable. And since we create a negative CO2 emissions, we cannot use cement for this. So there is no cement, there is only lime and silicate.
Right. The reason I was asking is, as most of us hemp experts, when we look at a color of a hemp material, we are usually looking for that gray color to see, okay, what is added to the lime, because lime is not gray.
Exactly.
Lime is white.
Have you seen? Yeah, so this is the natural color of the panels without any coloring.
Yeah. Right. Okay. No, it's just that there is a lot of debate about the CO2 emissions from lime, and I have understood right from the beginning that we will eventually have to try to replace lime, because even though lime is considered ecological, in its actual manufacture, it actually releases more CO2 than cement. But in the reuse and the placing of lime-based materials in a building, we hope that it then reabsorbs that CO2. And this is something that we need to be open and honest about, because there are many people in the chemistry world who will challenge what we are saying. So I think it's a fantastic products that Werner and you have produced, and I'm hoping to be able to help promote you if you're joining our association. Yeah, it's everywhere we are going to need more new materials, new versions of the material, and it's great to see such artistic versions of your material being made. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Are there other questions? Okay, thank you, Noah, to share with us your experience. And the next speaker is Paolo Ronchetti from Senini Group.
Yes. Okay, just me. Okay, I'm now sharing my presentation. Here it is. Can you see it full screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to this event. My name is Paolo Ronchetti. I've been involved in hemp construction since 2006, first as a student, then as a researcher, then again as an entrepreneur, and since 2018 as a manager, as a consultant. I'm now involved with Senini. Senini is an industrial player in the north of Italy. The main business for Senini, for this industrial group, is floor made of cement, paving, external flooring, as well as cement blocks and cement curves. It is a company which invested since the beginning in sustainability, even though the main product was cement, but the company was able to get environmental certifications as well as a number of products with environmental friendly features. As you can see, it's a large-scale company, and you can notice the top of the roofs are covered with photovoltaic panels, which means the 100% of the energy need, the electricity need in the company is locally produced. Tecnocanapa is a product range within the group. It is basically a full range of hempcrete products, and the mix that we came up with in 2015, it is a patented mix. We basically discovered that adding probiotics, in particular effective microorganisms known as EM, to the hemp chives, water and lime mix was able to speed up the carbonation process of the air lime. We don't use hydraulic binders, we don't use cement, we don't use NHL, natural hydraulic lime. We only use air lime, a specific type of air lime, dolomitic air lime, which naturally contains magnesium oxide. But anyway, we basically discovered that by adding the probiotics, they release enzymes which help in producing CO2 even when the composite is still wet. So it speeds up drying as well as hardening, so the carbonation of the material, by maintaining a fully sustainable and high quality raw materials and end product. I have now a video that you should see, and if not, just let me know. So in this video, you can see the factory. So basically, we have 5 plants, manufacturing plants in the company, and the one that is totally dedicated to hempcrete, it is the one, the oldest one, basically the one who was built first in the company many years ago. And with a few changes, we were able to transform former concrete blocks manufacturing plant into a hempcrete blocks manufacturing plant, of course, with much less pressure, much less vibration. It's a much lighter approach, of course, compared to concrete products. Still some pictures as well as the palleting system, and this is how we store the hemp blocks on the outside, different sides, as you can see, from 8 up to 40 centimeters thick. We also, with the same factory, with the same plant, we also manufacture this product. It's called Biobeton Pronto, means that it's ready to be used. It's a mix, low density mix of hemp, chives, water and probiotics, which is used for insulation of the roof as well as of the floor. And we also developed a specific spraying system for spray apply the hempcrete directly on site. We operate this machine with the Senini Pose, which is a daughter company of the industry, which is actually a construction company. So we put in place all the product that the industrial player manufactures. This is the machine. It used to be a prototype, then we improved it a couple of times, and now it's a product that we can sell and we can share with our partners all over the world. Now, a quick video of this spraying machine on how it works. So, for example, in this site, we built a timber frame, and then instead of applying blocks, we produced the low-density hempcrete directly on site, and we applied it onto a breathable panel which it is applied on the inside, and then from the outside we spray the material, which is a quick job and helps us reducing the density of the material, so it improves the thermal performance, and it helps us in increasing the yield of the job, mostly in large-scale constructions. This is just a one-family house, a villa. And you can also see that the external finish of the material of the wall has been done with another product, which is a BioBeton 500, which is plaster, basically hempcrete plaster. Last year we obtained an EPD, an environmental product declaration, on our 3 main hempcrete products, which finally officializes the ability of hempcrete to sequestrate CO2 from the atmosphere. So the University Polytechnic of Milan carried out a life cycle assessment on the 3 products, and the LCA allowed us to calculate the quantity of CO2, the negative quantity of CO2 sequestrated for each product. And as you can see, it goes from minus 44 kilos up to 105 kilos of CO2 per cubic meter, which now allows us to calculate and declare officially our contribute to the decarbonization of the economy, and in particular of the construction sector. So as you can see, we are now over a ton, over 1,000 tons of CO2 removed from the air in the last 3 years, which is now also becoming a carbon credit, which is going to be sold on the market. So we are creating an additional value out of this carbon sequestration feature. We've been working in Italy since 2011, first as a startup company. Equilibrium was the company that I founded, and since 2018 with Senini, with the Tecno Canapa brand. So as you can see, we've done hundreds of sites and building sites all over Italy, from south to north. And we also started to sell and to create partnership abroad. This is one of the most recent projects. It is something I'm very proud of, because it's a new hotel. It's a 4-star hotel under construction in Livigno. Livigno is a ski resort, 1,800 meters over the sea level in the north of Italy, very near to the border with Switzerland. In this project, a 40-centimeter thick block has been used as the only material for the entire envelope. So as you can see, even in a very hard and difficult climate zone with very often minus 20 degrees during the winter, hempcrete can really perform and can really be used to create comfort, create energy efficiency, and create healthy environment. And in particular, this was very well understood by the owner of this hotel, which is investing in sustainability and high quality for his customers. Just a quick review of some of the projects we did abroad a few years. This is in the south of Sweden. We basically supplied hempcrete with the spray machine to a community, a yoga community, and we trained people who never worked with hempcrete before, and in a few days they were able to go on with the job independently. First by applying hempcrete insulation on the inside of a stone wall construction, an existing stone wall constructions. And the following 2 years, they also built by themselves a timber frame construction with a hempcrete envelope, as you can see. So it's a scalable and replicable model that we created, and we, of course, always look for partners all over the world who are willing to invest and to learn and to, to spread, to develop this technology in their own country. We have distributors in the UK for the blocks. We have distributors in Ireland, as well as in many other countries all over the world. This is just a few awards that we received in the past few years. I didn't have time to add the most recent one. We received last week a prize on the Hemp block as the best regenerative product on the market. And this is a really big satisfaction for me, because when I started this venture many years ago, the concept of regeneration was basically what I aimed for, because for me, sustainability was not enough, was not an end point. After sustainability, there had to be something else, which I identified as regeneration. So the creation of conditions for the system to blossom, to be abundant, to be, not in need for something, but in production of surplus. So hempcrete, or the hemp block, or hempcrete construction, it is a great example of regeneration. And this prize, which was given not by an environmental friendly organization, but by a major magazine aimed or targeting construction material distributors in Italy. So I can say that it's a mainstream publication that every month goes out to every major distributors of building material, not green building material. So as I said, we saw over the past 15 years, we started from a market where hempcrete was totally unknown. We had no hemp construction in Italy in 2011, and since then it is now recognized, it is now reality, and I do expect many more projects in the future in terms of size and in terms of numbers. So this is my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Paolo, for your interesting presentation.
Hi, Paolo.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, just wanted to ask you, I saw you had a little pin on the Caribbean. Whereabouts in the Caribbean have you been selling materials?
We partnered with a company in Cuba.
Ah, right. Okay.
Okay, they took part to an exhibition. They also won a prize, but so far they have not been able yet to, to go onto a building site with a project. So it was, right. We sent samples. We joined a building construction exhibition 2 years ago.
Right. Okay, great. Good to see.
Yeah.
Paolo.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand if the project in Sweden was already there and you renovate, or they built in ancient style looking.
Basically, it's an ashram. It's 250 hectares of land bought by this Indian guru. Some buildings were already there, the stone buildings mainly, and those buildings were, insulated from the inside with hempcrete. Other buildings have been built from zero. So his project is to first refurbish, improve the energy efficiency of the existing ones, as well as to build new ones. The one I showed both. The large one that you saw, it's a totally new construction that they self-built within the community with local labor, community labor.
Fantastic, amazing. Thank you very much.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We can go on with the next speaker, Elad Kaspin. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Okay, can you share your screen or?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So hello everyone. I'm Elad Kaspin. I come from Israel and I've been living in Portugal for the past 11 years, and I'm here to share with you a bit about our project Canhamor EcoBlocks that we are doing here in Portugal. From what I've seen from the presenters before me, I see that I don't really need to say much, because I was very happy to hear that more and more projects are doing this. So I will try to go over it a bit quickly and maybe get to the point of where we are today now with Canhamor, because it's a really exciting journey, and leave some place for questions. So 3 years ago we started with this product. We didn't invent anything, of course, but it took us about a year to stabilize our mix, and more than the mix, the method of curing the blocks and the logistics around it. I would say it's even more critical than the mix itself. So of course we use hemp sheaves, we use hydrated lime, we use natural hydraulic lime, and we use argilla, we use some clay, some calcinated earth, and we get this material. We press it in this press, which you can see is still quite manual, but we are now in a process of, we already started building a new factory, which I will come to in a minute, and share why is it such a big difference. But what you can see here is from the setup factory, which we are still running, and it is in production, but it's still low volume, I would say. So we have actually four blocks, because you can also put this one on the side and get 25 centimeters. So we have 12 centimeters for interior walls and for insulating existing walls. We have 20 centimeters, which is already way beyond the thermal needs requirements by law here in Portugal, and much better than most conventional constructions. And then we have the 25 and 30, which are incomparable, really, to at least what is happening here in Portugal and Spain. I know that in other places in Europe, the thermal requirements are much higher. I don't think I need to speak much about how great this plant is. I think everybody here knows. But I will take the opportunity to say that we are now working with a lot of farmers. We've already let me start before that. In the past 3 years, we've been buying the sheave, the hemp herd from France, simply because there was no hemp here in Portugal. But this is not our end game, our end goal. So we are in the new factory we are building. It will also be a processing unit. So actually, it will be the first factory, as far as I know, in the world that does both the processing from the hemp plant itself in big scale, and separates it to the sheave, to the fiber and dust, and also takes it immediately to the part of block production. So this will allow us to offer a fully local, regional, and sustainable product with a very negative carbon footprint, and also at a very competitive price, because we managed to control all of the production line and resources here locally. You need to understand that both with hemp as a plant, as it comes in bales, and blocks as they come in pallets of blocks, both have huge volumes, and transport basically invalidates this this product for many places. So I personally believe and see a vision of many hemp factories, hemp blocks, and hemp processing around the world. I don't think this can be a one company or one area thing, because it just doesn't make sense once you cross the few hundred kilometers, or even I would say up to 1,000 kilometers. More than that, it's the transport will just invalidate the numbers. I want to go back to a bit of in applications. We have different types. This one is with a cement, a concrete frame. Important to say, here in Portugal, we don't have the possibility to certify hempcrete as a structural material due to seismic events and all of the legislation here. Long story. So although the blocks could have been used structurally, they are not, and therefore they require a structure. Here you can see it from cement. You can notice here that the block is coming out of the pillar. This is in order to break the thermal bridge. So later this was covered with another insulation material, or it can also be done with the blocks, just cutting panels. It's very easy to work with them, so that you break the thermal bridge that occurs through the pillar or the beams. Here is another option to use the blocks. This is to insulate existing structures. When you don't want to start from scratch and you just want to add insulation, you can do it either from the inside or the outside. They have advantages and disadvantages. Here you can see a house that was basically covered in blocks from the outside. It took about 2 days. Like it's ridiculously fast. And even though this is only 12 centimeters, the result was amazing. The feeling, now these houses are done, and these are actually 3 houses, 3 different ones, and the thermal insulation and also the humidity regulation in these houses are really good. And the third way, a third application is with wood structure. Here you can see different kinds of integration of the blocks. you can see that it's very easy to cut through them and integrate the structure, the frame into the blocks, into the walls. Here you can see even an aesthetic play, very nicely done to create they didn't even plaster it, so because this is why they did like one layer like this and another one like that, so it comes out in a nicer pattern. Maybe just important to mention fixations. So fixations of using stainless steel to avoid corrosion and to fix the blocks into the whatever frame it is. Also, we've reached quite impressive loads that can be put on each screw using normal plugs, I think it's called in English, bushas in Portuguese. Yeah, so this is just a little of a little bit of how of different applications, like cutting, making holes for the installations, for electricity, making panels. You can basically cut these blocks with everything, any kind of saw or knife. I once had to cut it with a bread knife. So finishings, you can do it, you can have different finishings of lime, all lime based. Also the mortar here is all lime based. It is a hydraulic lime, but we are also working on a solution to move to hydrated lime. And yeah, you can also notice here that there is a mesh, there is a net here because of the retraction of the hydraulic lime and to avoid cracking. Here is a client who painted right on the blocks. It actually came out really nice. Of course, if you do that, you need to work with silica-based paint or lime-based paint, something that breathes. Very important. Also, the plasters, they have to breathe. This is the mesh. We also have a Portuguese supplier for Utah nets for if somebody, whoever wants a 100% natural solution. So also the net can come like this. Here are some projects done here in Portugal, also of roofs. And this was not done by us, but it was very similar blocks done by Pedres in the north. As you can see here, the roof was also here. You can see that the roof is only slightly plastered just to close the cracks here, but on the bottom you leave it like this, very fine, so you don't even see them. And I personally think it's a very nice finishing. You can also see it here. This was not plastered from the inside, so I think it's beautiful, especially with the wood, and the thermal performance is off the charts. Yeah, that's us basically in a nutshell. And like I said, we are now in the midst of the construction of our new building, of our new factory. We plan to launch it in July 2024, and yeah, we're very, very excited. This will be a very big change, both because of the whole process, the control of the supply chain, basically working from the farmers, from seeds until the end with the end product, and also we are accompanying the projects themselves. So basically from seed till house. Yeah, I think that's it. I can already see that there's a question here. Yes, Steve?
Hi, Elad. Nice to meet you. I've heard about your activities for the last year or so, and I'm glad to see something is happening in Portugal at long last. You mentioned that you are not growing the hemp yourself yet, that you're obviously importing it from somewhere like France. Is that right?
Yeah, I said we are still importing the sheave from France, but this year we already started growing hemp. This was a test year, and next year we are in 2024. We have already contracts with farmers for close to 500 hectares of hemp that will be grown here and used for locally in under 100 kilometers radius from the processing plant. So
I agree with you about making a factory that processes and makes blocks. I think this is essential for all hemp construction products, that we have to make the materials, process the materials, and manufacture the products in the one place, both to reduce the transportation costs, as you mentioned, but also just to add value to the processing plant, because a lot of people find it difficult to see an economic plan for just the processing plant. It's like, yeah, but how are you going to make that profitable? And it's like, well, you have to add the value straight away. So my main comment would be is that I wish you a lot of luck, and you're going to need it, because you're going to deal with a lot of farmers that have never grown hemp before. Hopefully they are tillage farmers, but I have always found that this is the most difficult part. You can talk about building, you can talk about the regulations for building, and you can talk about the way we measure the products and stuff, and we have all developed fantastic ways of creating products and of accessing them into the markets. But getting the farmers to understand exactly what they have to do and what they have to produce, and being able to compete with other subsidized crops around that is very, very difficult. And that is where I've seen a lot of factories that have just started up having big problems, in as much as the bales of hemp they were being provided were just not good enough quality.
You are absolutely right. We are investing a lot of time and money in building a protocol, a way that the farmer basically cannot make a mistake. We are accompanying throughout the farm with every few days. We have our guys going to each one of the farmers, helping them from preparing, from licensing till watering and harvesting. We are, of course, we know that we need to control the quality of the hemp, otherwise this will not work. And the farmer cannot be expected to know how to do that, because, well, last time it was grown here, it was about 60 years ago in Portugal. Yes, I see that there is another question from Bep. Sorry, I don't know if I said it.
I'm Beppe from Feder Canapa. So you already built a decortication plant, because you need to produce sheaves and fiber by yourself.
Yes, we are building it now. We have already the decortication line bought. We haven't installed it yet because the building is not ready yet. But we are starting. We are in the foundations. We are making the foundations of the building now. As soon as the foundations are ready, we will build the building and then put the decorticator inside. Yes, like I said, it will be ready by July.
But the main problem I see with the farmers is not just the correct way of cultivation, but the rental. How do you pay for hemp? Because I think that just the use for building sector is not quite rentable for farmers, or or you disagree with this point of view?
No, I agree with you. If it's only used by construction, and not and the flowers are not being explored and the seeds are not, then it means that for the sheaf you will get a higher price, of course. But I can tell you what. First of all, you are 100% right. We are working a lot on this, and to make sure, because our whole business model is and not just business model, I would say our whole vision is based on integrating this work with the farmers. Then we have to make sure that they are properly paid. If they are not, they will never do that again. So and we are in the birthing of a new industry here in Portugal, and that's why in the first couple of years we will have to pay a higher price than it could be eventually when it's more stabilized, and there is already enough farmers that know how to do this and can also then take advantage of the flowers, of the seeds. But for now, to your question, in 2024 we are basically going to pay double than what for a ton of raw hemp, of stock, of just bales, we will pay about double than what it's worth. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There aren't any comments. We can go on with the last speaker, Oliver von Malm. Can you share your screen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
So, cool. It's all working. You can hear me well. You can see everything.
Okay, yes.
Good. Okay, so let me take you now on a journey to Africa, basically, and also to starting off with a very different approach, like more product geometrical approach, and not the material approach first. So I'm the founder of a social business named Start Somewhere, and the goal of what we do is to provide sustainable and affordable housing to people from disadvantaged community in the global south. And for this, we have developed new kind of building block. And what you see here now is called a twist block. Sorry, presentation. There we are. Cool. Yeah. As you are all experts, you can see right away this is not a hemp block. This is a concrete block, still using very little material. And so what's the advantage of that block? Basically, it's completely mortar-free plug-in system. So we can build with it just like Lego, and even dismantle our buildings again. The block has a special geometry that allows you to freely curve and plan, and especially if you build in informal settlements where there's really house next to house built from hand, you need to be able to curve and make use of any bit of available space. You can completely steplessly fold the corners of the building up to 100 degrees. And in case of additional need for thermal mass, you can backfill also with soil or similar material in the walls, or you can have your electricity pipe and wastewater in there. So that's pretty much our product at the moment. And what we want to address with this, so our main goal is really to fight some of the key issues of informal settlements, which is basically lack of jobs, unsafe, unhealthy homes, and no secure land tenure. And that we try to solve with our product basically by creating jobs in small scale decentralized production facilities. And obviously it's very simple to build with these blocks. So with that we build relatively safe, fireproof, and much more hygienic housing than what you see in the background of this image. And well, the idea of reusing the block actually came as a result from the fact that most people were losing their homes overnight when the bulldozer came, and we thought, okay, why not being able to dismantle it easily and then take parts of those blocks with you to a new place. So the concept is really that residents of the informal settlements can get jobs in those small scale factories. You know, you see that plant is smaller than 100 square meters actually, production space, what you see there on the right hand side. That's how we started off in 2019. And people can learn how to do that quickly. You don't need to be a trained mason. You just need to be able to place blocks on top of each other, basically. So you get jobs, especially for the ones in need, for the very unskilled ones. And you can build a whole building without any kind of heavy machine, no crane, no big machine needed. Everything can be done by hand. So that's the concept, so to say. And of course, the whole thing is only interesting if it is competitive in price. So if we compare our technology to standard masonry, we realized that we save on up to 30%, which essentially is due to the fact that we are much faster in building, and that we're saving on a lot of steps in the construction. So we're basically saving on mortar, obviously. We don't need to plaster due to a nice finish. We're saving on formwork for the columns and the ring beam, and plus on all the time that is involved to set up those. So we are really fast in doing that. Yeah. And also, when you do architectural planning of projects, and that's where also a lot of time is usually consumed, but we developed a software, basically, or a script that allows us to generate plans for individual houses very quickly. So basically, with that software, you generate a 3D model like that, and you can create plans like axonometric, IKEA-like plans from each single course of those rows that you can then send to people on the construction site, and they know very quickly how to assemble that. So that actually allows us to have construction sites over 6,000 kilometer distance. And yeah, so here you see our pilot project. That was a 2-story school building in Kibera that we built in 2020, actually during the pandemic. And I did this completely remote from my desk in Germany because I couldn't fly to Kenya. And it's in the largest slum of East Africa, Kibera, which is not really an easy environment to work in. And but still, it really worked coordinating all that remotely, and it looks pretty much as planned. What you see here is basically what the technology was intended for, so which is for the people. So people bought the technology, they built up their own shops, they painted it individually and decorated the blocks nicely, and we were not involved in that. So that's and those are pretty much really the people living in Kibera who buy it, which is quite a breakthrough, because technically new technologies always are a bit expensive, yeah, or a bit of an exclusive product, and yeah, that's not the case here. We also did an affordable housing project, also in the middle of the informal settlement, where we built 11 housing units, small housing units, but for a price of 25,000 euros total, so meaning less than 2,000 euros per unit, which was also done in a very fast way, and it basically creates for people that what is somewhere in between middle class housing and a sheet metal shack, so which is something that has not been existing before. This is like a visualization of a new campus that we did, that we're going to build next year in rural Kenya, also done with our software. And the idea was then for them to also to not only build that campus, that school, but to also build like a manufacturing space where they produce the blocks for making that campus themselves. You see on just 120 square meters. Oops. And so that the factory is basically already in place, and the campus, 10,000 blocks have been produced, and the campus is starting next year. Here you see the construction of a larger project, two-story school building in a formal poor settlement of Nairobi, and where we also played a bit with colors in the blocks, using them also as columns with pigments added to the mixture, and yeah, resulting in definitely an upgrade towards the surrounding. Our current construction site, again in the middle of the informal settlement, is a three-story school building, just about to finish in a week now. Yeah. And this is pretty much my favorite proof of concept of the technology. So I was not involved in that. So somewhere was not involved at all. It just a client bought 10,000 blocks, and he basically built so far the biggest four-story building with the twist blocks himself, just using some of our trained workers from the site to basically join their team and set up this really, yeah, it looks like a rendering, but it's actually a real project, yeah, that is situated here in the middle of, I would say, the very worst part of Kibera. As you can imagine down there, that river, you don't want to go swimming in there. And he built this whole structure in 110 days, so about 4 months time, four-story structure, which is extremely fast. And he built that for a square meter price of about 130 euros. So basically that whole building cost him only 130,000 euros, which is, yeah, unseen, I would say. Yeah. We calculated a bit the impact as a social business that we could have if we open about 25 factories until 2030, producing 900 blocks per day. We could have about 100,000 lives of people in informal settlements impacted positively through about 4,500 houses, well, the number of blocks put into houses, and 165 community projects like schools, centers, hospitals, 11 million euros local income created through the jobs on the sites and in the factories, and about 3,800 local jobs created. And now we're coming to a point of the tons of CO2 saved, which you may wonder how at the moment, of course. So that would be the next step really for us. And to look into ways of making our construction system more sustainable. And I'm also happy to be in this, presenting in this round, yeah, for potential partners and joining that cause. And so we've been working with Schönthaler, where Noah Paul presented before already about the noise acoustic panels as well. And so with Schönthaler, we have been producing a few prototypes, I would say, yeah, making our block a hempcrete block, yeah, basically. And it would be a full block instead of a hollow block, but still with that interlocking capability. We also tried a bit with the cement-free concrete from a Swiss company named Oxara. And further development also is to expand, let's say, make our system not only a wall system, but also come up with a compatible roof system that can also do any kind of movement and floor plan. Yeah, but still, I just want to mention, and I think that's maybe an interesting input from a different perspective. So this is a circular processing ladder, basically, where we say, okay, what actually has the most impact? Yeah. So, and if we look on those items, basically, to recycle, as we doesn't have as much impact. So it's actually relatively low on that circular processing ladder, because you have to use energy to recycle again. But okay, the best, of course, is to refuse. So basically to not use a product at all. So in our case, it would be okay, we would use mortar, plaster, or formwork. Added functions to one product, which we sort of see on the right-hand side, where we use our blocks as a reusable formwork for curved walls, so to say, or curved foundation in this case, on the image on the right side, which usually is fabricated out of timber for one-time use. Minimum use of materials, okay, that's kind of obvious. The blocks are hollow, use very much the minimum that you need for a 3-story structure. And the reusability, so that's also part of it. And I mean, okay, our blocks are made of concrete. They use 10% cement. They are about 1/3 of the volume of a solid wall, so it's relatively little. But of course, it is still cement. The advantage, though, is we can reuse them eternally, yeah, more or less, unless we break it, yeah, because they don't erode. There's nothing happening to them. But still, I would be very interested in really seeing that block coming not only good, but even much better ecologically, yeah. Economically, of course, it has to work as well. But yeah, so here you see us starting, making this geometry basically out of hempcrete, and trying to get funding to sort of bring this project also to life, to be able to make this a commercial product, yeah, in partnership with Schöntaler. We're happy also to partner with more people and get this to life. I think the big advantage is that we have this connection to Africa, where we are already in Kenya. We've just expanded to South Africa, and we're going to Uganda next year. And where we can start with, where we don't need huge plants, where we can just start a process with a small decentralized approach, a small scale factory where you can test things, where you can get in touch with the real world, so to say, as soon as possible. Yeah, so that's our team. From start somewhere, we are most of our team is actually based in Kenya. These are my 2 founding members, Christina Kers and Sylvia Hesse, on our last visit in October in Kenya. And we have, yeah, quite a good partner network. It's basically Perry Formwork produces the molds for making the blocks, and Habitat for Humanity has sponsored already quite a few projects and selected us as one of the top 10 startups in Sub-Saharan Africa in the sector housing. And yeah, Transfer Klima Engineering may be known in that. So basically, we're sharing an office with them, and they consult us very often on making our buildings less energy consuming. Thank you. Now, time for questions. I will, looking at the chat, there was, but let me, yeah, stop sharing. Oops.
I see Steve.
Hi, Oliver.
Yeah.
It's me again. I seem to be the main person wanting to chat in this thing. So 2 questions. One is, how are you supporting the blocks above the windows and doors for, like, as a lintel?
We are basically cutting them open in the longitudinal direction. So we're cutting them like 2/3 open, and then we're placing rebar through it, and then we're casting a beam basically in there, and they get a floor, basically a little floor, and then,
so similar to all other hemp block systems, basically. I just wondered if you are using something else. My main comment is that having worked in Africa myself and having been associated and helped people in Africa for many years, and in other places like Haiti, which is like another version of Africa in a way, the whole way of manner of agriculture in both Africa and Asia, and I'm not so sure about South America, but certainly in those two continents, is very different to Europe. And I think there's been a lot of mistakes made of just thinking we can just transfer the technology from one place to another. So your system of your reusable blocks has all sorts of implications, as I'm sure you're aware. But trying to produce hemp in the way that we are imagining doing it in Europe, in places like Africa and Asia, is very difficult and very different because land ownership is completely different. There are very few farmers that have very large areas of land. And when I was in the Democratic Republic of the Congo last year, I saw how people who had power enough to be able to own, in inverted commas, massive amounts of land, were trying themselves to establish this Western model of buying in big John Deere machinery to till the land and to harvest the machinery. But there was a massive amount of resistance to this person, either because of personal history of them knowing who he was, in as much as he was somebody who'd left the community, gone abroad, earned a lot of money and come back. But there was a huge resistance to wanting to the whole idea of working for a boss when it came to land. That the whole thing was about owning your own land, having your own small plots of land. And as we see in Asia, and if you look at any Google scan of Africa or anywhere, there are very few agricultural systems where they have big far fields that are underneath the sort of ownership or control or organization of one person or one group. It's lots of small little plots. And so establishing hemp production in Africa, if we're going to make hemp or introduce hemp to your system in Africa, we have to use African hemp, obviously. And the only place I've seen that working so far, well, two places in Africa in totally opposite ends of Africa, is in South Africa, where they do seem to have a fairly Western style agriculture system, or at least the potential to have that in some situations, or in Morocco, where the hemp is grown as cannabis all over the mountains, and it's a whole community activity. And it's not based so much on fields, but every single available space, pretty much. But that whole field system and harvesting machinery and centralized processing, or processing in any large scale, is very difficult to just transplant to Africa or Asia. I mean, you look at Asia and you can see thousands of little paddy fields, and again, ownership of very small plots of land. So my main sort of comment and question is, how do we roll it out in places like Africa? Because I'm very interested in helping the very situations you're talking about. I've seen hundreds of slums just like that one in Kenya and all across the world. I've lived in India for many years, and so I know how increasingly in the last 20 years, especially of my ability to travel around the world, I've seen how those places have grown and become worse and worse and worse. And it is overwhelming when you see the scale of the problem you are trying to address. In a little photograph, you can see just a few shanty shacks and a little bit of the river, but when you pan out and you see that place is massive, and you see the pollution and the terrible housing systems that people are living in, how do we address that in any realistic way is not easy, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you for that input. So let me comment. Yeah, as you're right. I mean, hemp production is not that widely spread. I mean, it is in South Africa, where we just have opened our first plant as well in Cape Town. So that's where I think the largest high-rise out of hemp breed is sort of
with
coming
the
up.
Oliver Wolf, yeah, they're all associates of mine.
Yeah, but what we figured for countries like Kenya, where hemp is still not treated in such a way, there's a lot of rice cultivation around the Lake Victoria region, Kisumu, and the rice husks are currently an agricultural waste product as well. So we experimented also with rice husks together with Werner Schönthaler, and he managed also to produce the blocks that I've shown before in the presentation with lime and rice husks. So that could be a starting point also from an economical point of view, because that's really we went to the farmers in Kenya. We asked them, what do you do with your rice husks? And they said, we just burn it. So we thought, okay, if we take it, probably we can get it for free until they realize they could make money out of it. But so that would be an approach to look at, okay, if hemp is not available yet, yeah, then we start with a different approach. Maybe we use rice husks. But for me, it's like, okay, also, I mean, okay, the name is sort of start somewhere, yeah. And we've started now with the concrete block, because I developed that in together with the people locally, so to say, because I was asking, what do you want? How do you want to live in your future house? Yeah, I've been doing this for 13 years, supporting schools in Tivera, and they asked me one time to help them build a 2-story structure for their school, and then I ended up designing that system in a dialogue with the people, so to say. And for them, it was clear they want a middle-class concrete house. That would be the dream house to them, because concrete is stable, it cannot burn. If they have a soil house or a mud house, you know, I was thinking, why not rent earth, you know, a clay house that's beautiful, that's really nice. And they were like, no, that's for the keep people up country. We are modern, we need some concrete, we need some nice house.
That is a big problem. Yeah, I have experienced that. I mean, one of the horrific questions I was asked the first thing when I was working in Haiti is it bulletproof? Which is you know, a terrible aspect of this life. But to go back to what some of the things you've said, and to try and help you cut corners and not to be repeating research and things which have been done by other people many years ago. I'm lucky I have an overview of what's been happening in the whole sector for 25, 26 years. And there has also already been research with rice husks. Of course, rice husks have been used in building for many years in China, where they were burnt to make a pozzolan to add to lime to build things like the Great Wall of China. But that there has also been a lot of research in alternative materials to hemp, where in places like Mexico and Costa Rica, where the importation of hemp is very problematic and growing it has still not been really approved, certainly not in Mexico. And so the rice husks, bagasse and agave and coconut fibers have all been researched there, and they had the people from ENTPE, who are probably the most experienced researchers in this whole field. They have been researching hempcrete in all its ways, right from the very beginning of the Loist experiments that created Consorzio basically in France. So the people in ENTPE, Stefan Hans and Frédéric Salé, they are the world leading experts in this material, and they have been already doing tests in this sort of things. And the only things that really worked well from their experience was coconut and bagasse. They weren't really involved in the agave research, which is now being proved quite successful in Mexico. But from what I remember, rice husks did not work well with the binders that they tried.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm myself not a material expert. I'm an architect basically by profession, yeah. But I just know that somehow Werner Schönthaler was able to produce a rice husk block, but maybe there are some durability issues also that come with it, yeah. But thanks, yeah. So we will look at it more critical, I would say, before.
It is a problem. It has been a problem with hempcrete and hemp building research for a long time. Is that people replicate research that's already been done. Students go off doing their little thesis, and it's like, yeah, but that's already been done. You don't need to do that. We need to research other things, and so there really does need to be a sort of centralized information source, which the IGBA is in a way able to provide, which can know all this, can have this overview and say, okay, there's the research is already done. go there, and you'll save yourself a whole load of trouble. And certainly there are probably other materials that they use in Africa, and probably bagasse would be one that would be worth looking at, because that's the waste material from sugarcane, and sugar is a big product of Africa generally, especially in that part of Africa. But the other thing that you will be experiencing, and anybody that's trying to do anything like you or I or anybody else that's trying to work in the developing world, is that climate change is having the most enormous impact on agriculture. And so, trying to find a way for materials that we know, like hemp, to fit into these changing and politically unstable environments is quite a challenge in itself. Never mind then building with it and again convincing people, as you say, to live in what they would consider a mud hut and we would consider an ecologically sustainable house. And that is very difficult. And so I can see how they've all liked their cement block. Oh, yes, what we want a nice Western house like we've seen in the movies. But unfortunately, in the same way as I try and explain to people I know from China, is that you're too late in the game. We in the West and in America have already blown that possibility. We've used up all the available energy and resources, and now we're trying to find ways that are looking back in time to find solutions, and that is very difficult to convince people in the developing world they've got to do. So I admire your your aims, that's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to sort of keep as much ownership of the project to the people locally, basically. I think that's the only way. It's like planting seeds, and then it grows. That's the idea, and sort of paving the way, like at one day, we may come up with a different material that we can either pour into the existing molds, or we already have the factories, and then someday when the research is there, then we can also just replace the existing molds with a different molds, and make even more eco-friendly bricks. But I think it's like changing one parameter at a time. So that was, so to say, the approach.
I think if you talk to Damien Baumer of Irisi, I think he is probably the most advanced binder formulation that is going away from cement and lime and going towards more other sort of biomaterials to create a binder for hempcrete that will provide or produce a product which I think people in the developing world might be more accepting of. But it's something that I don't know exactly, because I don't know exactly the manufacturing processes of some of his ingredients. I know what the ingredients are, but I don't know exactly the manufacturing processes and how easily that would be to establish in places like Africa or South America or Asia. But I would think that it wouldn't be that difficult. But anyway, there are many different aspects to all the different ways, aspects of that hemp building. The producing of the hemp, the producing of the right type of binder, and Paolo has produced one that is totally suitable for Italy and for that region, because they're using the dolomitic limestone from that region, which is an important aspect of it. And the same for all the different ones that have been developed with that local regional idea, like Monica Brummer with her Canabric in Spain, that she's using a local clay and lime and hemp, which means that her blocks are much more like regionally based, if you like. But trying to find some kind of a product that can be made in a low-tech way that doesn't use cement, that we can introduce into the market as a sort of global solution, because obviously the problems of Africa are problems of most places in the southern hemisphere where there is a lack of economy, you could say. Anyway, I don't want to hog the conversation.
No, but thank you. I've just typed my email address in the chat here. I was wondering would you mind dropping me maybe a few of those contacts, or just the names, so I can just research myself, because it was a bit too.
Yeah, okay, I will do. Yeah,
that would be really awesome, because it sounds super interesting. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. If there are no further comments, we have come to the conclusion of the webinar. Thank you all for your participation. And I would like to thank all the speakers once again for their availability and for sharing their knowledge and experience with us. And the webinar has been recorded, and it will be sent an email with a link in the next few days. And if all the speakers agree, we can also share their presentation in PDF format. So if there aren't other questions, I